Hello, everybody. Gage says it's empty. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews today. Today's beer comes from Hoof Brewing. These guys out of Marengo, Ohio. This is their stout, American stout with coffee and vanilla added, and it's got nitro written on the back of the can. I doubt it's got a widget in it because they figured out how to nitro charge these beers without putting a widget in it. It's got some kind of picture of a tennis player. Maybe that's, what's his name? The one that cried all the time when he got beat by Billie Jean King. Connors? I'm not sure. And it's called Belloq. B-E-L-L-O-Q. And they did a different version of this, which was a mild ale. This is the American Stout Nitro, 7.5%. See if I have an ABV here. Nope, I do not. This was sent to me by Rico. Rico writes, Belloq, 7.5% Nitro American Stout with coffee and vanilla added. He says no date, but I do know that this was released last month, which would be in April. Facebook note, the old version was an English mild ale. They just reused the name for this beer, which I don't think that's a good idea. And the reason I say that is because Beer Advocate does not have this version listed. They have the mild ale listed, but they don't have this American Stout listed. If you're going to change that big of a drastic change between a mild ale and a stout, you ought to change the name a little bit. I don't know why they would want to call it the same thing. I would have changed something. Belloq 2 or whatever, not have the same name where it's going to get confused with the English mild ale, like he said, which is what the last one was, an English mild ale. Like a 4-point-some%, less than 5%, where this is a 7.5. Plus it's got coffee added and vanilla. So, and being a nitro, it's a completely different beer. I don't know why they want to keep the same name. That don't make any sense to me. And like I said, Beer Advocate doesn't even have this particular beer listed. They have the English mild ale listed. So, as far as I'm concerned, Beer Advocate is out of the picture on this one. I'm not going to jump through hoops. I typed it in and returned it, and I even went to everything that Hoof had done on the site there at Beer Advocate, and it was still not listed on their site. So somebody needs to update their site. Maybe it's a brand new beer, I'm not sure. They do need to date their stuff. There is no date on here, like Rico said. These beers are highly sought after from Hoof, and people trade them around, which is, I'm pretty sure that's how Rico got his hands on it. And you never know how long the beer has been setting. With this one having coffee added to it, this is something you want to have fresh, and not having that canned on date is a problem to me. You wouldn't want to get this beer 6, 8, 12 months down the road that somebody's picked it up either at the brewery or however, or traded it or retraded it, and not knowing how old the beer is, because you're going to get a beer that the coffee is faded on over time. Hops, just like a hoppy beer. So we're going to leave it at that. That's all we need to talk about on that. It says here, commercial description, American Stout with coffee and vanilla added, smooth caramel and chocolate notes. Get a massive coffee and vanilla rogering, an intellectual competitive flavor that makes you feel smarter than you look. Wonder how that works. Pair with a corduroy blazer and lookout world. No, this is not Belloq mild ale. Despite the similarities in the commercial descriptions, ratings for the other Belloq go here. And it has the site for the rate beer uh, uh, site for all the information for that particular beer. But like I said, Beer Advocate has the regular one, but nothing else as far as the Belloq, and they still have it listed as an English pale mild ale at 4.2%, which would be a session beer, guys. A lot different than a 7.5 stout. Completely different style. So I don't know why they would want to keep the same name. It makes no sense to me. There's a little confusion going on there as far as I'm concerned, and they couldn't come up with another name for the beer. Completely different style, completely different ABV. Come on, you can do better than that, Hoof. All right, Rico, thanks again, my brother. I do appreciate you sending it to me. We're going to get into this one, and this is a big 16-ounce can. Usually the nitro beers, you want to pop the top and pour them in as quick as you can pour them in, but I'm not going to be able to get all of that into this glass, especially if it's heavily carbonated and it's going to produce a big head. If you pour it straight down the center, like most nitro beers, you need to have a lot bigger glass than what the size can you're trying to pour it into, or you're not going to get that nitro effect, which looks like a volcano, and it works out, especially like a left-hand milk stout. A lot of the nitro beers, they want you to pop it and pour it quick. We're not going to be able to do that on this one, because it's not going to. This glass is not going to hold it if it produces a head. If it doesn't, I'll try to get as much in there as I can, so we can see that volcano effect. So that's all we need to talk about. So it's time to pop a top here. And like I said, I'm going to try to get this glass down here and get it in there as quick as I can. Big hiss tells me it's a nitro beer. Straight down the center. And that's all I'm going to be able to get in there, guys. I'm not going to get that last bit in there. And let's see. No, it's just produced a big head. I'm not getting that volcano effect. So we got us about a little over 2 fingers of head. And being a stout, it is pretty dark, but down here in the thin part, it's got some red rubbiness. I can see the light through the thin part of the glass there, which tells me it's not pitch black. Very similar to what a porter would look like instead of an American stout, especially a 7.5%er. So, and while I poured it that fast, I couldn't tell you. Cuisine is barbecue, cheese is buttered brie, good Havarti Swiss, Camembert Fontina, goes well with your chocolate dishes, being the stout. And the meat is beef, shellfish, smoked meat, game, and grilled meat. Glass right, a pint, backer, tonic, tumbler, mug, signed, side down. I got my favorite tulip glass. And it says here, not recommended for extended selling, because it's got coffee added to it, guys. So it's going to fade, just like hops. Very creamy head. Even tight bubbles around the side here. A lot of times you'll have these great big soapy looking bubbles, but this is creamy all the way around and on the top too. Slightly off-white, khaki colored head. Looks very good in the glass. Looks very creamy. Let's get a nose on it. Coffee is off the chain here, guys. Super espresso type coffee. Big time coffee. Coffee's taking up the whole front seat here. Slight hint of some vanilla. Roasted, rich roasted malt to the burnt characteristics. Maybe a little bit of caramel and toffee or molasses. It smells very damn good for a coffee beer. It smells outstanding for a coffee beer, as a matter of fact. If you love coffee, this is pretty damn good smelling. If you don't like coffee, you're probably not going to like this beer. Well, let's dive in and see what we got. That head is just sticking around. It ain't went anywhere. It's still just as potent as it was when I poured it in there. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Rico. A little metallic tasting, and that's probably going to go away as it warms up. Big coffee notes. Bittersweet chocolate, vanilla. It's a little thin on the mouthfeel for a nitro stout. Maybe some flaked oats would help that creaminess, but a lot of times the nitro beers have that creamy effect, but looks creamy, but I think a little bit of flaked oats would help the mouthfeel of that. And they may have used that, but they may not have used enough. It's a little thin to me. Wonderful taste of big coffee notes. See if I can get the rest of this in there. I'm definitely getting the coffee and the vanilla. That's what they're harping on the back of the can here. American Stout with coffee and vanilla added. Definitely getting the coffee and vanilla. And like I said, the metallic taste will probably go away pretty quick. Well, let me sip on it and go out there and fire up a Maduro wrapped cigar to go with this while I'm sipping on it. Let her taste it, and we'll come back and see where it ends up. Alright guys, I'm back. Got just a little left here. Very decent beer. Big roasted malt, coffee, hints of vanilla, a little bit of caramel toffee in there, maybe some brown sugar or molasses. Still kind of on the thin side to me for a 7.5% American Stout. I do wish these guys would do some kind of dating on their stuff. I don't know how far out from the brewery, if it does at all, and if it doesn't, that's probably the biggest reason why they do not date. But even that, like I said earlier, people buy these beers and they buy as much as they can, or they allow them to buy, and then these guys trade these beers for other beers around the country and the world. And you don't know what you're getting or when it was produced. That's the biggest fuss I got about it. If we're going to stores, they absolutely need to have a date, or at least a vintage on it, so you'll know what you're drinking or how old the beer is, especially if it's done with coffee. It's just like an IPA or a double IPA to me, guys. So let's do the final chug. The metallic taste has gone away like I knew it would. And it looks very creamy. It just doesn't have that creamy mouthfeel that I was expecting. So maybe a little bit of flaked oats would help the mouthfeel on this. Final chug. Now, the final chug was rather creamy, but up to the final chug, it was kind of thin. So, guys, I do think it's a good beer. I do think they need to have a date on it. That's especially if we're doing an IPA, a double IPA, or something that's got coffee added, so we'll know. You don't want to have this beer 6, 8, 12 months down the road. So that's where I'm going to leave it. To me, with the information that I have, B+. That's where I'm going to give this. It's a 7 as far as I'm concerned. Numeric rating from me would be 88. That's where I'm going to put it. And like I told you earlier, Beer Advocate doesn't even have it listed, so they're out of on this one. And Rate Beer doesn't have any score on this particular beer because only 3 people have commented on this beer. So maybe it's a fairly new offering from these guys that have farted. And final check-in, we'll run over to Untapped, and they do have it listed, and they have it at 3.96, which is in their upper B+ range, almost to the A category, which is where I'm putting it. And if you say, oh my God, that's an A beer, I'm not going to argue with that. It is a pretty tasty beer. I just want to see these guys that have expanded their lineup of beers, and there are quite a few that Hoof has done. I mean, Lord have mercy, there's probably over 50 beers. If you're doing that many beers, you need to get a dating machine. If you produce that many beers, you need to get the machine. So that's why I didn't get to A from me, basically, because the information that I had on the can didn't include a date. We need to have that. If you're going to put coffee in your beer, get a dating machine. If you're going to produce an IPA or a double IPA, get a dating machine. I really don't care if it's brewery only, because the trading is going on these beers. People buy, they allow you to buy a case of it. People buy a case of it, and they'll keep 2 6-packs, maybe even 3, and trade the other one or the other 2 for something else. And then if it sits in their closet or wherever, back or in the case, and you're getting a beer you're trading for and doesn't have a date on it, you're on your own on that. How long is this guy that had it before me? So that's why I want to see these coffee beers and IPA hoppy beers have some kind of date on it. And the ones that don't afford them or can't afford the machine, they'll take them with price sticker guns and put something on the top of the plastic caps just to give you a hint of what it is. Because I get a lot of those all the time. Rico sends them to me, and other people have sent them to me that has that price sticker on one of the 4-pack or 6-pack rings on the top. So need to do something. Need to do something. So that's where I'm putting it. If you've had this one, the Hoof-hearted Nitro American Stout, and it's called, what is it called? Belloq, B-E-L-L-O-Q, Belloq. I'm not sure. Looks like Jimmy Connor's on the front. Anyway, if you've had it, let me know what you think, guys. Coming back tomorrow. Let's see what's in the fridge.